Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Bend County Library, and I have an assistant behind me this week. His name is Jules, and he's thrilled about our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory video cast. Well, yeah, now he's so thrilled he has to go and get some food. Anyway, welcome to the video cast for this week. Enjoy. Library Connections number 52. This is the Friday, May 14th, 2021 edition of Library Connections. Jumping right in with the top 5 fiction bestsellers of the week from the New York Times. At number 1, 21st Birthday by James Patterson and Maxine Petro, the 21st book in the Woman's Murder Club series. New evidence changes the investigation of a missing mother. At number 2, The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Hannah Hall discovers truths about her missing husband and bonds with his daughter from a previous relationship. At number 3, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Ryland Grace awakens from a long sleep alone and far from home, and the fate of humanity rests on his shoulders. And wow, no small thing, the fate of humanity rests on his shoulders. And I'm digressing a little bit, but if you've guessed that this is a science fiction novel, you're correct. Ryland Grace awakes in space, and it's getting good reviews, so if you like sci-fi, check it out. And having digressed, let me get back to the top 5 fiction bestsellers. At number 4, Sully by John Grisham. Samuel Suleiman receives a basketball scholarship to North Carolina Central and determines to bring his family over from a Civil War-ravaged South Sudan. And at number 5, the great book and perennial favorite now, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. In a quiet town on the North Carolina coast, in 1969, a young woman who survived alone in the marsh becomes a murder suspect. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers of the week. At number 1, Killing the Mob by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. The 10th book in the conservative commentator's Killing series looks at organized crime in the United States during the 20th century. At number 2, The Premonition by Michael Lewis. Stories of skeptics who went against the official response of the Trump administration to the outbreak of COVID-19. At number 3, What Happened to You by Bruce D. Perry and Oprah Winfrey. An approach to dealing with trauma that shifts an essential question used to investigate it. At number 4, The Bomber Mafia by Malcolm Gladwell. A look at the key players and outcomes of precision bombing during World War II. And at number 5, Finding the Mother Tree by Suzanne Simard. An ecologist describes ways trees communicate, cooperate, and compete, which sounds absolutely fascinating, and that one is definitely going on my to-read list. Our first recommended read for this week is a great mystery. It's called Death in Holy Orders, written by the equally great P.D. James. Baroness James may have turned 80, but neither she nor her dogged Scotland Yard detective, Commander Adam Dalgleish, shows any signs of flagging in this superb whodunit, with its extraordinarily complex and nuanced plot and large cast of credible characters. when the body of a young ordinand, Ronald Treves, turns up buried in a sandy bank on the Suffolk coast near isolated St. Onslows, a high Anglican theological college, it's unclear whether his death was an accident, suicide, or murder. The mystery deepens a few days later when someone suffocates Margaret Monroe, a retired nurse with a bad heart, seemingly because she remembers an event 12 years earlier that could have some bearing on whatever's amiss at St. Onslows. Enter Doug Leash, at the behest of Ronald's father, Sir Alfred, who's received an anonymous note suggesting foul play in his son's death. It isn't long before another death occurs, and this time it's clearly murder. Late one night in the chapel, somebody bashes in the head of Archdeacon Crampton, a hard-nosed outsider who wanted to close St. Onslows. Dalgleish and his investigative team examine the complicated motives of a host of suspects resident at the college, mostly ordinands and priests, slowly unveiling the connections among the various deaths. Illegitimacy, incest, a secret marriage, a missing cloak, and a valuable altar triptych are just some of the ingredients in a case as contrived as any Golden Age classic, but presented with such masterful ease and conviction that even the most skeptical readers will suspend disbelief. This is a natural for PBS mystery adaptation. And that's the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. And on a reader's note, you may be thinking, I don't think this book is new. You're correct, it's not. This book, Death in Holy Orders, was originally published in 2001. It's the 11th book in this outstanding series. So if you haven't read the series, this is a great series to binge read. And on an additional reader's note, P.D. James wrote 15 books in this series, starting with the novel Cover Her Face, which was published in 1962, and going through the last novel, The Private Patient, which was published in 2008. And yes, they did indeed do a video of this book. The BBC has it out, and I believe you can get it through a variety of streaming platforms. If you can't find it and you're interested, shoot me an email, and I'll do some more research and track it down for you. Our second recommended read for this week is Holmes on the Range by Stephen Hawkinsmith. Sherlockians, Western fans, and mystery lovers who enjoy their whodunits leavened with humor should all be delighted by Hawkinsmith's captivating debut, which features Montana cowboys and brothers Gustav and Otto, better known as Old Red and Big Red, respectively. One night in 1892, Old Red becomes smitten with Sherlock Holmes. On hearing his brother read the tale, The Red-Headed League, around the campfire during a cattle drive. Determined to follow in his hero's footsteps, Old Red soon gets the chance to apply the master's methods, when shortly after he and Big Red take a job at a ranch whose management seems a bit dodgy, they find the general manager dead under equally dodgy circumstances. Then another man turns up dead, apparently a suicide, and just before the British aristocrats who own the ranch arrive to inspect their property. The melding of genres, skillful plotting, and characterization augur well for the sequel. And that's an abridged version of the Star Publishers Weekly Review, which was a little too long to fit in here. And on a reader's note, there is indeed a sequel to this fun Western mystery. In fact, there are 6 sequels. The second book in the series is titled On the Wrong Track. So if you'd like to binge read, here's a fun series to dive into. Of course, the P.D. James series is also fun to dive into, but it's just mystery and not humor. So if you're in the mood for something funny, check out this series. Our first audiobook recommendation for this week is a version of the new novel What You Never Knew, written by Jessica Hamilton and read by Sarah Molo Christensen and Laura Jennings. Idyllic Avril Island, owned by the Bennett family, is where their 100-year-old cottage sat, nestled in acres of forest. 40-year-old June Bennett believed that the island had been sold after the summer of her father's disappearance when she was only 12 years old. It's months after the shocking death of her older sister May in a fatal car accident that June finds out that the cottage was never sold. Avril Island is still owned by the Bennett family, and now it's hers. Still reeling from the grief of losing her sister, June travels back to Avril Island in search of answers. As she digs, she learns that the townspeople believe her father may in fact have been murdered. Rather than abandoning his family in the dead of night, as she was led to believe by her mother. And that's when she begins to notice strange things happening on the island. Missing family possessions showing up on her bed, doors open when she had locked them closed. It takes June no time at all to realize that her childhood summers at Avril Island were not at all what they had seemed to be. So if you're looking for a mystery, not a procedural, but a mystery where someone finds out what on earth happened in the past, here's a good one. Our second audiobook recommendation for this week is the new historical fiction novel by Pam Jenoff. It's called The Woman with the Blue Star, and the audio is read by Jennifer Jill Aria. From the New York Times best-selling author of The Lost Girls of Paris comes a riveting tale of unfathomable sacrifice and unlikely friendship during World War II. 1942. Sadie Galt is 18 and living with her parents amid the horrors of the Krakow ghetto during World War II. When the Nazis liquidate the ghetto, Sadie and her pregnant mother are forced to seek refuge in the perilous sewers beneath the city. One day, Sadie looks up through a grate and sees a girl about her own age buying flowers. Ella Stepanek is an affluent Polish girl living a life of relative ease with her stepmother, who has developed close alliances with the occupying Germans. Scorned by her friends and longing for her fiancé, who has gone off to war, Ella wanders Krakow restlessly. While on an errand in the market, she catches a glimpse of something moving beneath a grate in the street. Upon closer inspection, she realizes it's a girl hiding. Ella begins to aid Sadie, and the two become close, but as the dangers of war worsen, their lives are set on a collision course that will test them in the face of overwhelming odds. Inspired by harrowing true stories, The Woman with the Blue Star is an emotional testament to the power of friendship and the extraordinary strength of the human will to survive. Our first streaming recommendation for this week is the classic film Blowout from 1981, available now through Amazon Prime Video. The director, Brian De Palma, took an everything but the kitchen sink approach to the conspiracy thrillers of the 70s with his flashy, eclectic, and ultimately tragic 1981 masterpiece, which cheerfully cribs elements of Chappaquiddick, Watergate, and the Kennedy assassinations to create the hybrid story of a movie soundman, John Travolta, who accidentally tape records what may have been a politically motivated murder. Nancy Allen gracefully transcends the cliches of her character, while John Lithgow is as scary as he has ever been, which is no small statement. Fans of the paranoid thrillers will also enjoy The Parallax View, and mystery lovers should also check out Knives Out, and that's the New York Times overview. Our second streaming recommendation for this week is the 2020 film Nomad Land, which is available to stream now through Hulu. Chloe Zhao's cinematic treasure Nomad Land first dazzled critics at the Venice and Toronto film festivals last year, and has been the talk of the town ever since. And it's no wonder why, as Fern, a woman who lost everything in the Great Recession, who becomes a van-dwelling, modern-day nomad traveling across the country. Frances McDormand is at her very best as Fern, and it's a perfectly lived-in performance that feels uncannily real, which is also the perfect way to describe the film itself, and that's the IndieWire review. And finally, our Hoopla recommendation of the week. I thought I'd recommend something that's fun and offers visions of summer. So I'm recommending the 1967 classic film Clambake with Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley rocks as a lovelorn millionaire heir in this sizzling comedy that includes Shelley Fabares and Bill Bixby and features 8 new songs and bikinis galore. So if you're in the mood for summer and our weather is kind of getting there but not as fast as we would like, sit back and relax and watch the summer unfold on Clambake. And the music will be good too. If you have questions about this weekly video cast, let me know. Send an email to me at reimerl@stls.org and I'll get back to you. Current library hours are, and they have just changed, so you may not have heard about them, but currently the library is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and that includes Wednesdays now. We are open on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we are still closed on Sundays. The library's website is found at ssclibrary.org. You can access a whole host of information through our website, including our calendar of events and the online versions of our catalogs. StarCat and the BookMine app. StarCat is the catalog of physical library materials available to all card holders of the public libraries in the Southern Tier Library System, which encompasses the public libraries in Steuben, Chemung, Yates, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. You can find StarCat online at starcat.stls.org, or you can download the BookMine app, which is basically StarCat in app form, and you can download it to your mobile device and access the catalog at your convenience through your mobile device. The digital catalog and its companion apps Libby and Overdrive. The digital catalog features eBooks, downloadable audiobooks, magazines, and a handful of streaming videos. Also of note, you can check out eBooks through the digital catalog and enjoy them on your dedicated e-reader, like the Kindle Paperwhite. For mobile devices, you download the Libby or Overdrive app. The Libby app is for newer devices, and the Overdrive app is for older devices and Kindle tablets. Additionally of note, the digital catalog is found online at stls.overdrive.com, so you can enjoy content from the digital catalog on a computer if you wish. Content in the digital catalog is available for all cardholders within the Southern Tier Library system. Hoopla. The Hoopla catalog features ebooks, comic books, full-length albums, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both TV shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for instant checkout for Southeast Steuben County Library cardholders with a maximum of 6 checkouts per month. You can download the Hoopla app to your mobile device, video streaming player, or smart TV, or you can go online to hoopladigital.com and check out materials on your computer and enjoy them through your desktop or laptop computer. Communicating with the library. If you have questions about library services during the pandemic, or really at any time, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. Our phone number is area code 607-936-3713. Again, that's area code 607-936-3713. You can also connect with the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Library blogs. We have our Book Club for Adults blog found at SSCLbook.club, and as you might expect, that features information on the monthly Book Club for Adults. We have the Corning NY History blog, which is our local history blog found at corningnyhistory.com. That features weekly postings that show photos of the area back in the day. And Creation Stationery, the Makerspace blog found at creationstationery.com. That's a complimentary blog for our Makerspace. We have the Story Musings blog, a blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells. That can be found at storymusing.blogspot.com. And finally, Tech and Book Talk, a readers, viewers, and listeners advisory blog with occasional helpful how-to tech tips thrown in for good measure, and that's found at sscltech.com. And briefly, here are our references of the week. And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition of Library Connections, and I just have to say that if you have allergies like I do, boy, those trees are something, aren't they? They're beautiful, but the pollen count's over 9 again today. My ear, nose, and throat doctor strongly recommended staying hydrated, so drink lots of water and Gatorade, and you'll be good to go, and hopefully the trees will be out and the pollen will drop soon. Have a great week. And just FYI, this is Jules, who was looking right at the camera. Let's see if we can get him. He's a pretty boy. He likes to help me every so often. I just thought you'd like to see. Have a great weekend, everyone.